Right, I thought I'd show you what I've been up to this weekend. This is an old Ryobi 705R strimmer. It was given to me by a friend who had been given it by another friend because he couldn't get it to work. Anyway, this was some time ago that I got given it, and at the time I had a quick look at it and couldn't work out what was wrong with it. Everything seemed right. Good spark, good fresh fuel. Fuel seemed to be getting to the carburettor. So I was pretty confident the priming bulb was working. Just here. Couldn't see any leaks, good compression. The thing just would not fire. Anyway, I'd spent about half an hour looking over it and gave up with it. Anyway, being a wet weekend, I thought I'd have another look at it. So I took it apart basically. Took the carb apart, stripped it right down. So a Walbro carb, diaphragm carb. Again, found nothing wrong with it. So I looked at the priming bulb again, and the way it works is the priming bulb. It's not actually in situ at the minute, and I'll explain that in a short while. You've got an outlet and an inlet. This is the priming bulb. It's obviously a rubber diaphragm type affair. It works by pressurising this outlet here, which pressurises the fuel tank. It's the green line that goes into the tank just there. That's not the full story. It also works by creating a vacuum on the inlet side. So anyway, when you pressurise the tank, fuel is forced along this line into the bottom of the carburettor, and I could see it was working. As far as that went, you could see air bubbles being pushed into the carburettor. This is the outlet return from the carb, and there wasn't much going on that return line. What it turned out to be, there was a small hole in the return line where it passes through this casing here. No fuel was leaking because it was just basically sucking on air, which meant that the carb wasn't priming properly, and that's why I couldn't get it to run. Basically, there was no fuel being forced through the carburettor. So once I discovered that, put it all back together, and temporarily I've bypassed the damaged piece of line. The bulb should fit in this little housing here. Obviously I haven't got enough hose. I've cut out the damaged piece, which is actually just here. I mean, it looks absolutely perfect. It's just perished where it actually passed through the casing. Because there was no fuel leaks, you know, it looked perfectly serviceable. Anyway, bypassed it, and it started about second pull. So it's turned out to be quite a decent little gift, I suppose you'd say. I will show you it running in a little while. I've had a little bit of a wild goose chase today trying to get hold of some fuel line for it. It's 2mm ID PVC tubing, which you'd have thought would be fairly easy to come by, but sadly not. The actual outside bore is fairly critical as well if you want to replace all of it, because this line here seals purely by pushing into the underside of the tank. There's no other fittings there, so the outside diameter is quite critical if that one needs replacing. I found one place that had some line in stock, but he wanted to charge me £5 for a foot. Well, I'd found in another shop somewhere that got every size bar 2mm, and they've got 3mm, and that was 30p a foot. So that's the sort of sensible money that I was hoping to pay. I guess eBay will be my friend once again. Anyway, I'll show you it running in a short while. Okay, well, here's the strimmer outside. I'm going to have a better look at it. As you can see, I still haven't fitted the end cover to the engine there, because obviously it's going to foul those fuel lines until I can get them sorted out properly. The underside of that, you've got little air filter there, little foam filter that you saturate with oil. It won't hurt it running for a short time without that. It's a 31cc 2-stroke engine, so it's got a Walbro diaphragm carb on it, very basic little engine. Wouldn't imagine it generates a great deal of power. 15-inch cutting head, still loads of line inside it. I restrung that last night, bit of a game. I don't think they're all that expensive new, but it's nice when you get given something for free. Anyway, I'm going to have a go at starting up for you now. Okay, confession time. Went to start it just after that previous sequence, and it wouldn't. Well, it started and then stopped and wouldn't restart. So it's been back in the workshop. Carb was stripped again. Didn't find anything wrong with it, but I think it's muck floating about. One thing I didn't mention before, the running screws there. These generally come with anti-tamper caps on them, certainly in the UK. I removed these and fortunately found there's some little slots in the top of the screws. The basic settings all the way in, 2 screws out, but I did find I needed quite a bit of setting up to make it run right. They're quite critical. There's also an idle speed screw there, which is obviously quite self-explanatory, but it takes a little bit of fettling to get them running right. You get them ticking over and it won't progress onto the high running, or it'll run on high running fine but it won't tick over. It's just a case of getting them just right, but I think I'm pretty close now, but we shall see. I'm going to have another go at starting it anyway, so see how we get on. Pulled down a bit, so it wasn't wanting to progress, but it seems alright now. I'll just have a little closer look. Well, as you can see, it idles quite nicely now. I think that'll just about do it. So we can get them fuel lines sorted, and I suppose it'll sit in the back of the shed now. No real need to use one of these, but it was free, so what can you do? Catch you next time.